a company like Panasonic is organized around the products it sells and the ways to sell them. Digital products actually were new technologies that converged a lot of different kinds of products. And if you have a converged product, it does two things at the same time. So the way to develop a digital strategy is to identify these multi-purpose products, figure out what the benefits are to a consumer, and then figure out a way to market it. What was interesting during those days is people did not have any kind of vision as to what these digital technologies were going to do to regular products. Nobody was thinking that a camera would also become a telephone, or vice versa. Nobody was thinking that what recording, how VCRs would change, and how the consumer would have so much more control over what they were going to record, and how they suddenly needed all kinds of new content to fill up these new recorders. These kinds of things required some strategic decisions because we had to reorganize the company, and we really had to identify which of these new products was going to sell and which of these products were just kind of curiosities.
So the start of a multimedia platform that we now see in things like televisions and iPhones has its origin in the 1990s?
So there's a principle called Moore's Law. And Moore's Law says that processing power, the strength, the capability of a computer doubles every 18 months. So the processing power of a computer in 1990 would be about 6 2/3 times more powerful 10 years later. So 6 2/3 cycles of doubling. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Yes. So a computer can have a 100 kind of power. 18 months later, it's 200. 18 months after that, it's 400. You do that 6.5 times, you find out how much of a change there was. Very beginning of the 90s, I was one of the very first people to get a laptop. And that laptop was about so big and had 164K of memory. Now Moore's Law makes that several meg at the end of the 10-year period. So all of these technologies were just finally coming of age during the 1990s, and technologies like processing power, a huge change in processing power. Storage, because you can't make a computer without storage. You can't have a program that doesn't have memory. Storage was terrifically important. Another technology that really made a big difference was battery power, because in the analog world, most things were just plugged into the wall, and batteries, you'd get half an hour of battery life or 2 or 3 hours of battery life. But the new digital technologies all sucked up a lot of power. So batteries had to improve at the same kind of rate. This is a technology that terrifically improved during the 90s. Displays, TVs, all right? So TVs went from being analog, where you sweep a picture like this, to digital, where you put millions and millions of dots on a screen, and that's what you watch. The number of dots increased exponentially also. And that allowed TVs to go HD, and that allowed phones to have really nice displays that you could put, that you could read, you could read data on, or even were fast enough to watch movies. Those kinds of things, those technologies were all improved. Well, for the digital world, it was fascinating. It was just moving incredibly quickly, and there was always something new, and it was almost like the Wild West for digital. This is when things were really happening. This is when ideas were really being developed, and the speed at which technologies matured during those years was just incredible. So if you really think about the transition of our world from analog to digital, that's when it really got started. That has a really positive effect. If you think about how much information people had at their fingertips in 1990 and how much information they had in the year 2000 as a result of all these technological developments and businesses that got developed during the 90s, that had a tremendously powerfully positive effect on everybody. And I don't think that the improvements have been as great over a decade, from 2000 to 2010, or this current decade. That was a very, very big decade for things happening. And the consumer benefits were just incredible.